As the film begins, we are told the first story. The King of Longtrellis loved his queen more than anything in the world. He wanted her to be happy, but the queen was deeply sad because she couldn't have children. The king called many doctors and healers from the kingdom to help her, but no one could do anything. One day, the king invited some circus performers to the castle so that the queen could enjoy herself and forget her sadness. But among those performers was a pregnant woman. When the queen saw her, she became very emotional and jealous. Her pain turned into anger, and she started breaking things in frustration. She returned to her room in tears. The king, who truly loved her, promised that he would do anything to make her happy, even if it cost him his life. The next day, a tall, thin old man arrived at the castle. He claimed that he could help the queen have a child. The king didn't believe him at first. He said, "Many people have come here before, but no one could help us. What makes you different?" The old man replied, "It's possible, but only if we're willing to pay the price. Life must stay in balance. To create one life, another must be taken." The king and queen both agreed, saying, "We're ready to go to any limit." The old man explained that they must hunt a sea creature. Its heart must be removed and cooked by a pure and unmarried woman. When the queen eats that heart, she will become pregnant. The king set out to find the sea creature. In a river, he found a huge white monster sleeping under the water. He attacked it and managed to kill it after a tough fight, but he was badly wounded and died there on the spot. Before dying, he managed to cut out the monster's heart. The queen, heartbroken, took the monster's heart, wrapped it in cloth, and brought it back to the castle. One of the maids in the castle was a pure, unmarried woman. The queen ordered her to cook the heart. While cooking it, the maid started feeling strange, something magical. When the queen ate the heart, she also felt it. Soon, both the queen and the maid became pregnant at the same time. Months later, both gave birth to baby boys. The queen named her son Elias, and the maid named her son Jonah. 16 years later, both boys had grown up. The queen was filled with happiness. Her son was her entire world. But something was strange. Both boys looked identical. They had white hair like the sea monster, and they could even breathe underwater. The two were inseparable, like twins. But the queen didn't like their friendship. She would always tell Elias, "You are a prince. You can't be friends with the maid's son." But Elias never listened. He loved Jonah like his own brother. They often went to the same river, the one where the monster had died, and played underwater. The queen warned the maid to stop her son from meeting the prince. "If they don't stop," she said, "I will throw both of you out of the kingdom." But Jonah and Elias didn't care. One day, Jonah decided to play a prank. He dressed in Elias's royal clothes and went to meet the queen. The queen couldn't tell the difference, but she had a feeling something was off. When she found out the truth, she became furious and ordered that Jonah be banished. Elias begged his mother to stop, but she wouldn't listen. Before leaving, Jonah cut a tree and told Elias, "As long as this water runs clear, know that I am alive. But when it turns red, you'll know my life is in danger." Months passed. Every day, Elias went to see the water. One day, he saw it turning red. He immediately understood that Jonah was in danger. Without telling his mother, he left the kingdom to find him. After a long search, Elias found Jonah's home. Jonah was married, and because Elias looked exactly like him, everyone thought he was Jonah. Elias asked about him, and Jonah's wife said that Jonah had gone into the forest 5 days ago and hadn't returned. Elias went into the forest to look for him. Meanwhile, the queen, worried about her missing son, searched everywhere but couldn't find him. Desperate, she went back to the old man and begged for help. The old man said, "If you want your son back, you must sacrifice your own life." She agreed without hesitation. In the forest, Jonah was badly injured and trapped. Suddenly, a flying monster attacked him. Hearing Jonah's screams, Elias rushed in, fought the monster bravely, and killed it. But what he didn't know was that the monster he killed was his own mother, the queen. This was the price of the deal, life for life. Jonah's life was saved, but the queen's life was taken. Elias became the new king, and the first story ends there. Now begins story number 2. This story is about another king, a man full of desire and greed. He loved wine, women, and pleasure, and was always surrounded by girls. But even after all this, he never found a queen he truly loved. Nearby, two old sisters lived alone. They were unmarried, wrinkled, and barely left their house. But they had one special thing: their voices. Their voices were so beautiful that they sounded young. One day, while one of them was singing, the king heard her voice. He was mesmerized and followed the sound to their house. When the old woman saw the king outside, she quickly ran inside. The king thought she must be a shy, beautiful girl. The two sisters were named Dora and Ema. Dora was greedy and cunning, while Ema was kind and honest. Dora thought this was her chance to change her life. From inside the house, she told the king to come back in a week. She would then show him one part of her body. The king agreed, thinking he'd finally found love. Over the next few days, the sisters tried to make their fingers look young. Dora applied herbs, but her fingers still looked wrinkled. She cried in frustration. Ema, on the other hand, kept her finger in her mouth for days, making it look soft and fresh. When the week ended, Dora secretly showed the king Ema's finger, pretending it was her own. The king was enchanted by it and wanted to meet her immediately. The sisters panicked, knowing that if the king discovered the truth, they would be executed. Dora told the king, "I'll meet you at midnight, but make sure all the candles are blown out." That night, Ema tied her skin tightly with glue to look younger. A guard came to take her to the palace. In the darkness, the king couldn't see her properly. He spent the night with her, but when morning came and he saw that she was an old woman, he was furious. He threw her out of the castle window, but Ema survived, and in the forest, something magical happened. A witch appeared and transformed her into a beautiful young woman with long hair. The next day, the king went hunting in the forest and saw Dora. He instantly fell in love and took her to the palace, declaring she would be his queen. Dora herself didn't know how she became young, but she remembered her sister. When she sent a royal invitation to Ema for her wedding, Ema was shocked. She couldn't believe her sister had become young and was marrying the king. Dora sent her a beautiful royal dress to wear at the ceremony. At the wedding, Ema asked her sister how she had become young. Dora jokingly said, "I peeled off my old skin." Ema thought she was serious. She went to a blacksmith and said, "If you remove my skin, I'll reward you with gold and jewels." The blacksmith foolishly did as she asked. It was a horrifying scene. Ema screamed in pain and soon died. Meanwhile, Dora's magic slowly began to fade. She started turning old again. When she realized it, she ran away from the palace, her youth gone forever. That story ended in sadness. Now we move to story 3. This story takes place in another kingdom. The king here was strange. His queen had died long ago and he lived with his daughter Violet, but he didn't love her like a father should. One day, the king saw a strange parasite, a small insect that drank his blood. He became fascinated by it and began keeping it in a glass box, feeding it with his own blood daily. Over time, the insect grew huge. Meanwhile, Princess Violet dreamed of finding a handsome prince, but her father ignored her completely. Then one day, the parasite died. The king was heartbroken. He removed its skin and decided to hold a strange competition. He announced that whoever could identify what creature's skin it was would marry his daughter. Violet was upset. She wanted to choose her husband herself, but she couldn't go against her father's order. People from all over the kingdom came to guess, but no one got it right. Finally, a horrifying man appeared, beastly in appearance, almost like an animal. He smelled the skin and correctly said what creature it belonged to. The king had no choice but to keep his promise. Violet was terrified. She begged her father, "Please don't do this. You're giving your daughter to a monster." But the king said, "I cannot break my word." The beastly man took Violet far away into the mountains. She cried every day. One day, while he was away hunting, Violet saw another woman across the valley. The woman said she was also a queen, trapped by a monster. The woman's son threw a rope to help Violet escape. But before she could reach safety, the beastly man returned and climbed up the rope. He killed everyone except Violet. When Violet saw him filled with rage, she hugged him and pretended to calm him down. When he lifted her onto his shoulder, she used a knife to cut his neck and killed him. Violet returned home, only to find that her father had fallen ill, poisoned by his obsession with the parasite. When she entered the palace, she placed the beast's head before her father. The king realized his mistake, but died soon after. Violet became a brave and wise queen, the ruler her kingdom needed. And that's how the movie ends. Please subscribe.